Okay, we must move on to questions to the Assembly Commission. Question 6 has been withdrawn. Maurice Bradley is not in his place, so I'll move on to Matthew O'Toole.
Deputy Speaker, question 2.
Trevor, you're going to answer that question?
I thank the member for his question. The Financial Assistance for Political Parties Act Northern Ireland 2000 provides a mechanism for the Assembly to agree the funding made available to political parties for the purposes of assisting members of the Assembly who are connected with such parties to perform their Assembly duties. This includes payments to the parties which are for official opposition. These payments are delivered under the provisions of the Financial Assistance for Political Parties Scheme 2016, and this is referred to as the FAP scheme. While the current FAP scheme already provides payments to official opposition parties, it is recognised that these payments are different from those contained in the report on the outcome of the independent review of adequacy and effectiveness of the Statement of Entitlements for an official opposition at the Northern Ireland Assembly. The Assembly Commission has agreed to review the FAP scheme in 2020 to encompass a wide variety of issues, including the level of funding which could be made available for official opposition parties. This review has been informed by the aforementioned report, which is debated and agreed on by resolution of the Assembly on the 9th of November 2021. Since then, whilst the Assembly Commission has considered a number of papers in the matter, the Assembly Commission thought that it inappropriate to conclude its deliberations when the Assembly was not sitting. However, since its resumption, the Assembly business there have been a number of discussions between members and officials in advance of the formal discussion at the first meeting of the newly constituted Assembly Commission this afternoon. Once the review of the FAP scheme has been completed, the Assembly Commission will bring forward the revised scheme for the Assembly for its approval.
Matthew, for a supplementary.
Thank you. I thank Mr Clark for that answer. On the 3rd of February, we were nominated the official opposition and I took up the role of Leader of the Opposition. Though I'm sure it causes occasional irritation for colleagues, that is a role that I have been charged with doing. But as of yet, we haven't received a penny of the assistance that this Assembly agreed in 2022 we should be allocated. That's not, of course, money for us as individual MLAs. It's to do basic research in order to do our jobs. So, Mr Clark, can we confirm that the allocation will match the previous what was agreed under the independent review in 2021? Can he confirm when it will be brought back to the Assembly to be agreed properly and formalised, and will it be backdated to the 3rd of February? Thank you.
In the first point, as I've already alluded to, the Commission is meeting today to discuss how to advance that. In terms of the date for its commencement, that will be decided by the Commission, and no decision on that has been taken as yet.
Thank you. Andy Allen, please.
Principal Deputy Speaker.
And Colonel McCasterty answer on behalf of the Commission.
Thanks the member for his question. The Assembly Commission is very aware of the need to ensure that Parliament buildings is accessible for people with disabilities, and a number of alterations and improvements have been carried out over that purpose in recent years. Physical alterations to Parliament buildings have included the installation of external and internal access ramps, alterations to staircases and lifts, the installation of changing places facility, and upgrading of hearing loop systems, and the provision of automatic opening doors in the basement, ground floor and first floor corridors. The Head of Facilities Management have commenced discussions with the Department of Finance Property Division on the commissioning of a disabled access survey to determine if there are further improvements that could be made to enhance accessibility within Parliament buildings. And following the completion of this survey, Building Services will examine possible improvements and consult with members as necessary.
Andy, supplementary, please.
Can I thank the member for her answer to my question? Indeed, place on record my thanks to the Commission for their efforts in addressing the accessibility problems within the building. Can the member advise whether she is aware of any accessibility problems in terms of the wheelchair users accessing the upper floors, the number of wheelchair users who can be present at events in the upper floors of this building at any one time? And if there is a problem and restriction on that, will that be addressed through the survey that she's mentioned?
McAllister.
The member for his additional question, and I am aware that there are a number of considerations to be given, including the corridor doors and access and the accessibility of those across all of the remaining corridors, including the top floor. And it is an issue that I will place as a high priority in my role as an Assembly Commission member. And when we are due to meet later today, I will bring it up as a matter of urgency.
Call Peter McReynolds. To answer on behalf of the Commission.
Lascan Corla, I thank the member for his question. The security of members is something the Assembly Commission takes extremely seriously and was on the agenda of recent meetings before the Assembly Commission was reconstituted. The PSNI have historically taken the lead in terms of personal security and crime prevention advice, and they have provided this on an individual basis to members upon request. This has included carrying out survey visits to constituency offices and the provision of advice and recommendations relative to personal and physical security measures. On the 21st of December 2023, the Clerk wrote to the Chief Constable to highlight further concerns raised by some members regarding their personal security and that of constituency office staff, and inquired as to what more might be done by PSNI by way of advice and guidance, and whether PSNI would be in a position to offer the provision of further security surveys at constituency offices and members' private dwellings. The Chief Constable subsequently confirmed that PSNI would take this forward, and personal security training for members will now be provided by the PSNI in Parliament buildings on the 30th of April 2024 for members and their staff. This will include the provision of advice on personal security and lone working, and will also provide an opportunity for members only to directly request security surveys of their constituency offices and homes. The PSNI advised that a number of surveys have already been carried out at members' requests. In August 2020, the Assembly Commission published the Assembly Members' Salaries and Expenses Amendment Determination NI, which increased the quantum of constituency office establishment expenses from £2,000 to £4,000, specifically to provide additional funding for health and safety and security measures for members. The determination also specifically permitted members to recover the cost of security measures from their £7,000 constituency office operating expenses allowance. At its meeting on the 29th of November 2023, the Assembly Commission discussed initial proposals to further increase constituency office establishment expenses for exclusive use in the provision of additional security measures, and intends to consider this further at its next meetings.
Peter McRounds for supplementary.
Thank the member for their response. Can the member advise if the Assembly Commission will update the minimum standard of security expected at constituency offices?
I thank the member for his supplementary, and can I assure the member, as somebody who was personally victim to an attack in my own constituency office, the perpetrator who was recently given a custodial sentence, I take this issue very seriously, and I know that other Commission members do as well, and I can assure him that we will be discussing this today and at further meetings, and we will update, we'll even write to the member to give him an update on how those discussions are taking place, but I concur with his additional question. Thank you.
Call John Blair.
Question number 5.
Calling Robbie Butler to respond on behalf of the Commission.
Thank you, Principal Deputy Speaker. I thank the member for his question. The Assembly Commission strives to be an exemplar organisation in terms of sustainable development and has implemented a range of measures to enhance energy efficiency and to improve the environmental performance around Parliament buildings. These include installing a building energy management system to better manage the time schedules for heating and ventilation, the installation of lower power LEDs, and becoming a conservation area for native black bees. The Assembly Commission sets ambitious targets in relation to energy use, waste generated and paper consumption, and is committed to achieving year-on-year reductions. For example, for the reporting year 2022-23, we managed a 29.4% reduction in electricity, an 8.6% reduction in gas usage, and a 51.6% reduction in waste generated against the baseline year of 2008 to 2009. The Assembly Commission Sustainable Development Unit worked closely with a number of partners to introduce energy-saving solutions and ensure continuous improvement in our energy efficiency. And one such example is working with the Department of Economy in relation to the geothermal technology in the Stormont estate and investigating possible options for heating.
John Blair for supplementary.
Thank you, Principal Deputy Speaker, and I want to thank the Commission member for that answer. Can I ask if, as part of the aim to reach net zero, there are any plans currently to review the electric vehicle charging provision here at Parliament buildings, and also perhaps to extend that to e-bike charging also?
Robbie for response.
I thank the member for his question. It's a really good question, and that is something that will be kept under review by the Commission, and is a very valid point, and it's something that will be visited with the Commission this afternoon, and make sure that it's on the agenda at that point.
Thank you. Question 6 is withdrawn. I'm moving on to Cara Hunter, and just to let members know that questions 7, 8 and 15 have been grouped. Cara.
Thank you. Question 7, please.
As you point out, Chair, those questions are all grouped, so can I thank the members for their questions. The Assembly Commission has had a number of discussions on this matter. It is important to make members aware that the Assembly Commission's remit relates solely to the provision of allowances to enable members to exercise their functions as members. The Assembly Commission has the ability to provide additional support to a member who is absent due to parental leave and to carry out the constituency work that a member would otherwise have undertaken. Additional support could be made available to assist constituency work through an increase to the staffing costs that were made available to a member through the provisions of the Assembly Members' Salaries and Expenses Determination, Northern Ireland 2016. Any such change to facilitate paid support for members on parental leave could be made by the Assembly Commission through the publication of a revised determination. The former Assembly Commission considered this matter in detail at its meeting on the 9th of February 2022 and agreed a set of principles for additional financial support. However, it was also agreed that the revised determination to provide the additional finance support should only be published once progress has been made to the start of this Assembly mandate on a bill to reform the functions of the Independent Financial Review Panel. The Assembly Commission therefore intends to return to this matter once progress on the bill has been made. The bill is on the agenda for this afternoon's Commission meeting. The Assembly Commission is also aware that there are likely to be issues relating to the members who work here in Parliament buildings arising from periods of maternity or paternity leave, adoption leave or shared parental leave. There is very limited provision for members' absences in the standing orders as regards, for example, participating in debates or in voting. Procedural matters would in the first instance be that for the Committee of Procedures. Such issues are not within the responsibility of the Assembly Commission. For instance, any proposal to allow the replacement of a member to be put in place to cover the period of parental leave would require the change of the 1998 Act, which is outside the remit of the Assembly Commission. The Assembly Commission has no role in determining the salaries or pensions payable to members. However, it should be noted that the salary of a member is not reduced as a result of deciding to take parental leave.
Cara Hunter for supplementary.
Thank you, Madam Principal Deputy Speaker. I thank the member of the Commission for his answer. Would he agree with me that the lack of maternity leave for members can put off young women getting into politics? And will the Commission consider looking at other strategies used in Westminster, for example, to provide additional monies for women who need a maternity leave? Thank you.
Trevor for response.
Well, I think you'll gather from my previous response that the members of the Commission previously had considered all of those points, and I think they do see merit in what has been put forward today, and all of those things will be considered going forward.
Deborah Erskine for supplementary.
And I thank for the answers so far. Last week we had International Women's Day where we were debating, women in politics and increasing that, just following on there from the comments made. Has the Commission ever reached out to women MLAs who have had children, or there's quite a few at the minute who are having children, to see what facilities they may need and what may be needed going forward for the future?
Trevor for response.
I thank the member for the question. I'm not aware of any specific time that the Commission has written out to members who have had children, but I think it's something I'm sure that they're listening today that we could take that on board and actually follow up from that.
Nick Matheson for supplementary.
Principal Deputy Speaker, and I thank the member for the answer so far. In the interests of trying to create as family-friendly a working environment as possible here in the Assembly, would the Commission consider undertaking a review of the adequacy of baby change facilities in the building?
Trevor for response.
I'm happy to take the member's view on board and actually ask the Assembly Commission to consider that for response.
Question 8's already been answered, and moving on to question 9. For response. Nuala McAllister for response.
I thank the member for his question, and the member first raised this issue in a written question on the 15th of January 2024, and as he will know, he then wrote to formally ask the Assembly Commission to consider the proposal. His correspondence is tabled at the Assembly Commission meeting later today, when it will be given initial consideration.
Jim Mallister for supplementary.
Would the member agree that, given that the walls of this place are bedecked with portraits of the great and the not so good, that it really is a shame that our head of state is not included in the displays? Is this Assembly ashamed of that situation, and when will it be addressed, so that in this devolved Assembly there will at least be a portrait of His Majesty?
Neil McAllister for response.
I thank the member for his additional question, and as I said in my previous response, we will be meeting as a first time as a new Assembly Commission and will be given the matter initial consideration, and I think that the member will recognise that significant work was undertaken in the last mandate to review the items displayed in the building, and as a result there is a carefully balanced collection of items and images taking account of all political perspectives, and it has been received well by visitors. But we will be discussing this later today, and I'm sure the member will be given an update as soon as possible.
Question 10. Robbie Butler for a response.
Thank you, Principal Deputy Speaker. I thank the member for her question. The Assembly Commission has obtained expert advice on the necessary repairs required to the roof of Parliament buildings. Any urgent holding repairs identified by those experts have been carried out, along with some temporary protective works for health and safety purposes. Until recently, the Assembly Commission had refrained from undertaking a full range of remedial works based on advice that this could prejudice the legal position of the Commission. As the member will be aware, the Commission has issued proceedings against Hamilton Architects LLP and Tracy Brothers Limited for negligence, breach of statutory duty and breach of contract arising from defects to the roof. The Assembly Commission recently received advice that the ongoing deterioration and associated health and safety concerns now meant that the legal position had changed and that a full suite of remedial works should now be pursued. And as a result, the Assembly Commission is now moving forward to appoint contracts under a construction and procurement delivery framework to undertake repairs, to prevent any further deterioration and ensure that the health and safety of all building users. These repairs will address the issues related to damaged stonework and resolve the ongoing issues of water ingress within Parliament buildings. The Assembly Commission will continue its legal action against Hamilton Architects LLP and Tracy Brothers Limited to recover full costs of these repairs.
Diane Forsyth for supplementary.
Thank you, and thank you for the response. Would the member have an indication of the timescale for the completion of these works?
I thank the member for her supplementary. Unfortunately, the Assembly Commission is unable to determine the timescales for the work to commence at present. The timescales for the works can only be determined when the scope and the requirements for the works, taking account of availability of materials, especially the stonework, disruption to Assembly business, health and safety, etc., have indeed been finalised.
Neil McCrossan for supplementary.
Answering the question, this is very important for this Assembly. This has been going on since 2014-2015. Can the member shed any light as to why it has taken so long to get to this point, or indeed to take legal action in relation to this?
Robbie Butler.
I thank the member for his question, and it is indeed a very valid question. The delay has at all times been informed by legal advice. For the Assembly Commission to have proceeded with the repairs without allowing the parties to inspect the damage and obtain their own advice on liability would have prejudiced the Commission's legal position.
Jim Allister.
The member advised the House precisely the stage at which the legal proceedings have reached. Are pleadings closed? Has there been a review of the case before the judge? Just what stage are we at?
Robbie Butler.
I thank the member for his question. He has raised many questions in regard to this very matter, but given that the legal proceedings are in train, I would suggest that the Commission take this further question into consideration and write to the member.
Doug Beattie.
11, please.
Colin McGrath for response.
Speaker, between March 2022 and March 24, there have been 582 member-sponsored events.
Thank you, and it would be a very pointed answer, I know that. But could I ask if the Commission can look at those bids to run events which could not get cross-community support? Because if we don't want this place to be a cold house for certain groups, can we look at other means of doing that? And I'll give you a clear example, is that there are some military veterans groups who feel they cannot get that cross-community consent to hold an event here. Would the Commission look at this?
I thank the member for his supplementary. I think the Commission is going to look at reviewing the policy, and I think there are a number of issues that need to be addressed as part of that, not least the imbalance in the number of events that are organised by particular political groupings. Some political parties have 5 times the number of others in terms of sponsorship of events. So I think that the policy, which is the events in Parliament buildings and its grounds policy, is due to be reviewed in May this year, and those views, maybe if the member would like to write, could be considered as part of that.
Gary Middleton. Sinead Annis to respond.
Thank you, Member. The Northern Ireland Youth Assembly successfully recruited its second cohort of 90 members aged 12 to 16 in October 2023. As with the first cohort, the new Youth Assembly members are a diverse group of young people from every constituency and representing all applicable Section 75 groups. The first plenary of the second mandate of the Youth Assembly was held in Parliament buildings in December 2023, during which former Youth Assembly members officially handed over and new members spoke on their hopes for their mandate. In January 2024, the Youth Assembly conducted their Big Youth Survey. Almost 1,800 young people shared the issues they wanted their Youth Assembly to focus on. The second plenary, chaired by the Speaker in February 2024, gave Youth Assembly members an opportunity to debate the issues from the Big Youth Survey and to vote on their top 3 priorities. Based on these priorities, 3 Youth Assembly committees have now been established. They are Education, Health and Rights and Equality. With the recent resumption of normal Assembly business, the Youth Assembly members are looking forward to engaging directly with Assembly committees, MLAs and ministers on these issues and others as their work programme develops.
Gary Middleton for supplementary.
Can I thank the member for the response and also put on record our thanks to the Assembly staff for the fantastic way that they run the Youth Assembly and the initiative as well. Can the member shed any light in terms of plans going forward to reach those harder to reach young people sometimes who don't necessarily put themselves forward, but to ensure that those may be harder to reach within our communities benefit from the Youth Assembly as well?
Sinead for a response.
Thank you. Yes, and I take the member's point. And I think just in terms of how youth members are selected, the recruitment process is a random process. It's co-designed by the young people, and firstly, all applications were anonymised. 54 members were selected on a constituency basis, trying to ensure geographic spread. But I take the member's point, and I think it is good that we're including those Section 75 categories in terms of gender, religious background, race, care experience, disability and so on. But I think in terms of geographic spread, it is clear that we need input from every section of our society, whether that's rural, urban, hard to reach, town, city. So I take the member's point, and I think when further discussions come before the Assembly Commission, we'll be sure to raise the points that you've made. Thank you.
Thank you. Paul Frew. Neil McAllister, respond on behalf of the Commission.
I thank the member for his question. The Assembly Commission has been engaging with parties and independent members on the provision of constituency office printing capability. This engagement, which took place in October-November 2023, made it clear that a new print solution is overdue and that members have additional requirements to support, such as scanning. A survey of all members was issued on the 10th of November 2023 to better understand their requirements and preferred approach to delivering printers in constituency offices. At its meeting later today, the Assembly Commission will consider the provision of constituency office print capability, and in the meantime the support contract for the existing constituency office printers has been extended to November 2024.
Paul Frew for supplementary.
Thank you very much, Mr. Principal Deputy Speaker. If I'm right in hearing what the member has said, will the extension to the contract then delay the rollout of new printers?
Nuala for a response.
Thank you for your supplementary question. Unfortunately, during the periods when the Assembly has not been functioning, normally the Assembly Commission was reluctant to replace the existing printer fleet, and the traditional approach of providing a standard printer for each constituency office is outdated. And so, as part of the ongoing discussions in the new Assembly Commission, we will be looking at a wide range of requirements and whether a better approach may be to allow members to procure their own constituency office print capability. I understand that this is disappointing in that the delay beyond November or before November 2024 may not satisfy the member, but fortunately if we do change within the new Assembly Commission, it may enable members to actually procure better and more suited printers, and in the meantime, if you don't need to, don't print.
Thank you. Jerry Kelly.
Question 14, please.
Robbie Butler to respond.
Thank you, Principal Deputy Speaker. We don't often hear that. Question 14. Thank the member for his question. The Assembly Commission recognises the substantial impact that being a carer can have on an employee's working life and the important contribution that carers make towards the economy and indeed wider society. The Assembly Commission has a specific policy entitled Support for Carers, which is guidance for managers and staff, which sets out the support available to staff with caring responsibilities. In terms of the support available, the Assembly Commission has a flexible working and partial retirement policy, which allows a member of staff to adjust their working pattern either permanently or on a temporary basis. The special leave policy gives staff the statutory right to time off for care of dependents, although the statutory right is to unpaid time off. The Assembly Commission may, in certain circumstances, give staff a limited amount of paid time off work. In addition, the policy provides for non-statutory time off for domestic reasons. Extended unpaid special leave can also be granted subject to business need. The parental leave policy enables an eligible staff member to take a set period of unpaid leave from work in order to take care of a child. The shared parental leave policy sets out the rights of staff members to take shared parental leave. This allows staff to choose how to share the care of their child during the first year or adoption. The annual leave policy makes provision for carryover of annual leave, which may assist staff who are aware that they will need a long period of annual leave during the following year for caring purposes. And the staff hours at work policy affords a staff member the opportunity to accrue additional time worked, which can be taken during recess or when business is quieter. I've summarised the main policies for staff, but of course we also recognise that as a political institution, it is often the case that staff support is required out of hours.
Jerry Kelly for supplementary.
Thank you for the answer. I'm just wondering then, would you have the number or perhaps the percentage of staff who have taken advantage of the flexibilities, even though I understand they're quite comprehensive?
Robbie Butler for response.
I thank the member for his supplementary question. I have some details available here. A total of 73 Assembly Commission staff currently have flexible working arrangements in place. 28 males and 45 females have flexible working arrangements. If the member needs any more detail on that, I'm sure the Commission would be happy to write to them.
Daniel McCrossan.
Speaker, what plans has the Commission to provide creche facilities for staff members?
Robbie for response.
I thank the member for his supplementary question. I think it might have been possibly an answer to a previous question, but it's something that the Commission will be looking at in future. Thank you.
So question 15 has already been answered. Could just members take their ease for a few moments? Thank you.